We are going to look at Unit 6, Lesson 2 today. So this is kind of your first introduction to using list in code. Uh, it's going to be a lot. I'm just going to warn you up front. You might want to watch this once or twice. Some of these levels, I don't necessarily love the way that they're introducing this to you, but it's all that we have, so we're just going to kind of go with it. So this first level, what they're asking you to do is kind of run this program and see what it does. So I've got, 4 buttons here, and it looks like I've got, closed like tops and bottoms. So if I run this, I can click right and left, and it's showing me different images of different tops. Right, at some point it kind of stops. So we'll want to look at that. Right, so from the start I can't go left from this one, but I can go to the right. At a certain point I get to the purple skirt and it stops. Then going back left, it's stopping me at the shorts. So it's asking you to kind of go through basically every line of code on here and kind of talk about it. So I'm just going to run through these lines and kind of explain what's going on. I'm not going to do it in order, because I'm going to kind of run through it in the order that the code's actually going to execute, right? I think that makes more sense. But what we're going to kind of end with is basically breaking the app by changing this if-else statement on line 18 to 20. So you can kind of see how this scrolling list pattern works, right? This is basically an app that has been built using that scrolling list pattern that I talked about at the very end of the lecture video. So lines 1 and 2 are creating 2 variables. One's called the tops list, one's called the bottoms list. I have the assignment operator, and I can see I'm assigning it just a open and close square bracket. So we know that that's how we create a list, by using that open and close square bracket. Now, because there's nothing inside the square brackets, I'm essentially creating an empty list. So that's all that these first 2 lines are doing, is they're creating these 2 empty lists that I can then do something with. Lines 4 and 5 are creating 2 variables, the tops index and the bottom index. I know that these are going to be numbers, but I don't know what numbers they're going to be, so they're just setting it to 0 to start. And then you'll see 7 and 8 are 2 function calls, right? So line 7 says call this fills list function. So we're going to come down here and look at fills list. Right, now this is different this year. They didn't do this app this way this year. I think they're just trying to show you how append item works and how to use that to add items to a list, because there's tops list, right? And there's 6 append items for the tops list, and then there's the bottoms list and 6 appends for the bottoms list. So all they're really doing here is they created this empty tops list and this empty bottoms list. They are then using append item to add 6 items to the tops list and 6 items to the bottoms list. Again, this isn't normal. You won't be doing it like this in this class, but they're just kind of showing you. If you were to look at this on the variables one, this appends list, kind of from the last video we talked about this, append item takes in 2 things. So one is the name of the list that we want to append something to, and then the second item that we passed in is the value that we want to assign to that element. And append item's always going to add it to the very end of our list. So when this first one runs, our list is empty, so by adding it to the end, we're essentially creating the first list. So that's going to add this image URL to my first element, giving it index 0. And then it's going to keep doing that through the next 5. So when this is done, I'm going to have 6 items in my list that have index 0 through 5. Right? Because my index number always starts at 0, which means if my list length is 6, the last index number is 5. And that point is going to be very important today when we go through this scrolls list pattern. It's then doing the same thing for the bottom list. So it's just adding these 6 items one at a time to my bottoms list. So after this fills list runs, these 2 lists are no longer empty. The tops list has 6 elements added to it, and the bottoms list has 6 elements added to it. Which, if you notice, if I click here I was mentioning earlier that at some point I can't click to the right anymore or I can't click to the left anymore. It's going to let me click 6 times because that's how many items I've added. So this is my first element, index 0. Second element, index 1. Third element, index 2. Fourth element, index 3. Fifth element, index 4. And then here's my sixth element, index 5. And then there's no more items, so the code is stopping me from going to the right. That's part of that scrolls list pattern. So if I work backwards, I can go back 6 times, this being the 6th item, 5th element, 4th element, 3rd element, 2nd element, 1st element, index 0 is my first element, so I can't go to the left anymore. It's then doing the same thing with the skirts, right? I added 6 bottoms, so it's letting me go right and left 6 times before it stops me. So when this code runs, it creates these variables, calls fills list. That's adding all those elements to my list. And then it's calling update screen. Update screen is just using those current top and current bottom. It's creating the current top and current bottom variables. And it's using that access method to access items in a list. So this is the name of my variable, the tops list, that has the list of all of my top images. And this top index, I set it to 0 to start. So it's basically saying, okay, my current top is 0. Right, and then this current bottom, it's creating this variable, and then it's just saying, okay, go to my bottoms list, and because my bottom index is starting at 0, it's setting that to the first element at index 0, and then it's displaying those in here. So that's why when this runs, it kind of always starts with these initial images, because this is the image that I, added first to my tops list, and then this is the image that I added first to my bottoms list, right? And like I said, I don't love this level because I know this is confusing. So if that kind of intro part didn't entirely make sense, that's fine. What's important to understand is this, we have these left and right buttons, right? So there's a top left, there's a top right, there's a bottom left, and a bottom right. These are implementing that scrolling pattern. So I don't think, oh, it will let me move these around. Okay, so I'm going to switch these around a little bit just so we can talk about them kind of in order. So what I want is, yes, my left, actually let me move this one here. Again, don't worry about what I'm doing right now. This is just so I can talk you through it. So this is my 2 top buttons, so my left top and my right top. This is that scrolling list pattern. So anytime I click the left button, what I want to do is this tops index, that is the index that I want to access for this list. All right, so I'm starting the list at 0. My tops index is 0. So this is really saying, hey, if 0 is greater than 0. If that's the case, then I'm going to subtract 1 from my index so I can look at the index directly to the left of the one that I was looking at. Right? In this case, I'm starting at 0, so 0 is not less than 0, so it's not going to let me move to the left. Right, which makes sense because there is no index to the left. If I tried to look at that index, my code would break. Right, so if I said if this is, let's do it this way. If I reset this and run it, you'll see because I'm saying if 0 is less than or equal to 0, right? This is true, so I'm at index 0 right now. And I'm subtracting 1, saying, hey, let's look at index -1, because I subtracted 1 from 0. I'm getting an error, right? Because there is no index -1. That's why we have to put this control in here and make sure that I don't go to the left. I don't go past index 0, because that index is never going to exist. So this is just checking to make sure that I'm still, if I move to the left one, if I subtract one from index, am I still going to be looking at a valid number that could exist in my list? So going left, we always have this if to make sure that our index is not less than 0. Going to the right, we have the same problem, it's just kind of in reverse. So going to the right, I need to make sure that I don't go past my last index, right? So if my list has 6 items in it, which this one does, I know the last index number in my list has to be 5, right? We've talked about this a few times. The indexes start at 0, so whatever my list length is, I cannot go past the last index, right? So if my list length is 5, my last index number is 4. If my list length is 6, my last index number is 5. So this is kind of verifying, okay, if my top index is less than my tops list length minus 1. Right? This is just getting me the last index number that exists in my list, because my list length is 6, 6 minus 1 is 5. I cannot go to the right past index 5, or that index will not exist and I will get an error. So my tops index is 0 right now. 0 is less than 5, so it's going to add 1 to my index every time I click to the right. So right now my index is 0. You can watch these watchers here. When I click to the right, this is line 18 is going to be true, so my tops index is going to change by 1. All right, so now I'm looking at index 1. Then I'm going to go to 2, 3, 4, 5, right? So if I'm looking at index 5, that means I'm on the 6th element in my list. So at this point, 5 is not less than 5. So this is false, and it will not let me add, right? As many times as I try to click this, it will not let me add to it because that element doesn't exist in my list. And then just kind of watching these, again, watch this watcher, you'll see as I go to the left, once it hits 0, it's going to stop me. Right? And now I'm stopped because of this check. That is that scrolling list pattern. We need to make sure that we don't go too far to the right or too far to the left. So when you're looking at the bottoms, it's doing the exact same thing. It's just using a different index to look at the bottom ones, right? So we have these bottom index, right? Top index and bottom index. Again, if I go to the right, it's not going to let me go past 5. If I go to the left, it's not going to let me go past 0. And that's really all you need to know for this one, right? Again, it's just practicing that scrolling list pattern. So when you go in there, the only thing they wanted you to do was kind of break this, so make it so that it could go past 0. So I will put that back in just so we can finish this level. I'm going to do it, I want it on 18 to 20, so right here, I'm going to say, you know, if it's less than or equal to, then let me go. Because you notice if I reset this and I go to the right, now I'm getting an error because my index keeps going. Right? It let me go to index 6. I have 6 elements in my list, which means my last index is 5. So I broke it. All right, so go ahead and finish that one. And then we're going to go to level 2. All right, this one is going to get into another pattern. This one's called the random access pattern. If you'll notice, levels 5 and 6 on this one are just diamonds. That means that you're going to be reviewing. So level 5 is going to go into detail about the list scrolling pattern. Level 6 is going to go into detail about the random access pattern. For random access, if I run this app, you can see it's just kind of randomly creating a name for a band that I want to start. So I have 2 lists. One is the adjective list, one is the nouns list, and I've added some elements to this list already by putting them comma separated inside the square brackets. And then I have 2 index variables, the adjective index and the noun index. They're both set to 0. So what I'm doing, whenever I click my band name, which is this randomizer button, I'm assigning a random number to the noun index and the adjective index. And again, I'm using that list length -1, right? So the list length, there is a list length block that you can use for this. So they pretty much just went to round number. For the lowest number, I know my lowest index number is always 0. So I'm putting 0 in here. For the highest number, I'm going to do my list length -1, just like I did for that scrolling list pattern. And I need to do this twice because I have a nouns list and an adjectives list. So this is going to randomly generate an index number for me. Right? Like if I look at my watchers here, when I reset and run this, right, by default there's 0. So it's setting them to 0. If I click this randomize button, this line 10 is going to create a random number between 0 and my list length -1 for my noun index, and then a random number for my adjective index. So as I click the randomize button, you're going to see these random numbers, right? So it's you, and again, I'm using that list length -1 to make sure that I'm using a valid number. This has to be a number that exists in my list. But every time I click it, it's kind of randomly changing those two values over here. So what that is doing is then when it calls update screen, we're accessing those elements based on those random numbers. So the adjective is going to be, hey, this adjective list, and then the adjective index that I just randomly generated. Set that to adjective, and then same thing for the noun. And then I'm creating this band name. That's going to be the variable that stores my string, and that string is just going to be whatever adjective from this list I've randomly chosen, a line break, and then the noun that I've randomly chosen. All right, so when I run this, it's just randomly picking an adjective and a noun and making that my band name, right? Simple puppy. So it chose element 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is index 4. Which makes sense because here's my noun 4. And then puppies. Element 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If it's element 5, I know that's index 4. If I run it again, right now it's 3 and 2. So 1, 2, element 4 is going to be index 3, so that's organized. And then index 2, 0, 1, 2, right? My third element, family. All they want you to do on this one is add another adjective to your list and another noun. So to do that, just like with the if-else statements, you can click this right arrow. And we're going to put an adjective in here. We'll just say awesome. Can't think of anything else right now. And then noun, I'm just going to put computer. All right, so if I reset and run it, there you go. Got lucky. On the first one, the noun chosen was index 7, because now I have 8 elements. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So my 8th element is index 7. That's where computer comes from. So you can go ahead and finish this one and continue. We're going to look at level 3. All right, I'm going to go through 3 and 4 a little bit quicker because they're kind of doing the same things on here, right? They've created a list. It's got you, me, another person, and then they're calling update screen using that update screen pattern. There's a couple of things that this app does. So one, it introduces you to insert item, right? So insert item was when we want to insert an item and specifically tell it where it's going to go. So in this case, if I run this app, right, it starts off with the 3 people that I initially told it to, you, me, and another person. So if I click the add person button, I can type something in here, right, and then when I click add, it's going to get the text from that input and store it to person, and then I'm going to in that add that to my list, right? So I'm using insert item. So I'm saying, hey, I want to insert this value that I just created. I want to put it in my people list. I want to put it at index 0, and this is the value that I'm going to put in, which is just what I typed. So you can, it's kind of hard to see over here, but you can see that it added Randall. If I add another person and click add, right, you can see that it's now added Benson, right? I can add one more. We'll just do Timmy, right, and add Timmy. So now I've got 6 people in here. Right, and then there is this remove person, so I could go in another person and say remove. That's using the remove. Let me make this a little bit smaller. Function. So for remove, I just need to tell it what list I want to remove something from and the index number I want to remove. So when I do remove, it's using get property to get the index from the people dropdown. So if you look at the design mode and you look at the dropdown, the dropdown, you can kind of see, you know, that there's these different properties. You guys have only used dropdown, I think, one time before this on the Lemon app, but that's kind of how they built that dropdown. But this is just going to go in. It's going to get the index number from, you know, whichever one I decide, right? So it's getting the property from the people drop down of the index. So whichever one I'm currently on, 0, 1, or 2, it's going to grab that index number, store that to person index, and then it's going to go to the people list and remove that index number for me. Then it calls update screen because I want to make sure that they're not on here anymore. There is this random pair. So this is going to use that random access pattern that we talked about on level 2. So it's just going to randomly like choose, right, 2 people from that people list and kind of store them in here for us. This will be for the first person. This will be for the second person. And kind of pair them together. So when I click, let's go ahead and add some people in here. We're going to add these back. All right, so if I click random, it's going to get a random index number for the first person, and then it's going to remove that person. Then it's going to get a random index for the second person, store that, remove that person, and then it's going to show me the 2 people that it removed. So I'm going to say add a random pair. So it shows Benson and you. So you can see Benson and you were removed and they're displayed. I can keep doing that until I don't have enough, right? Because I need 2 people to make a pair. So what they want us to do is update this app so that it's going to choose 3 instead of 2. So you're going to have to do a couple things here. So one, originally it was looking for 2 people, right? So it was looking for 2. I wanted to look for 3. So as long as my list length has at least 3 people, I want to run this code now. What I need to do is kind of add another chunk of instructions in here to randomly get a 3rd person. So for me, the easiest way to do this is kind of come in here, copy one of these and paste it in. Right, I'm going to get some warnings at first, but I don't want to retype all this. I'm sure you don't either. So this is my code to get the random first person, display their name, remove them, second person. So all I need to do really is update these variable names so that it's looking at the right variable, right? Not 2, not 1, but 3. Yeah, so with that, I'm going to get a warning saying it's not, person 3 is not defined yet. That's because I need to, where did they do it? So random index 3, random person 3. This should remove random index 3. All right, so that's what you need to do to get the 3rd person. We just need to update this text so that it shows the 3rd person. So I'm going to go to text mode, right? And now I just need to add some text in here so that it's going to display right. Right, and then instead of random person 1 or 2, it should say random person 3. All right, so let's test this. If I reset and run it, I've got 3 people in there. I'm going to add some more. So now when it runs, it should grab 3 at a time. Right, me and Randall and you, and it got rid of 3, so I could run it one more time because my list length is still greater than 3, so it's going to run. It's going to get rid of all of those, Benson and Timmy and another person, and now it won't let me do another one. All right, so that's level 3. You can go ahead and finish and continue. And then we're going to look at level 4. So level 4 is kind of a quick one. They're introducing get column to you. Right, so get column comes on this data tab, and you'll see it takes a table and a column. So if I'm looking at this, I'm going to console log out get column. It lets me choose a table, right? So the first one's table, the second one's column. Lets me choose the column. So like, what's really going on here? If you notice up here, they've added a third tab, right? And it's data. So code.org comes with data sets. These data sets are super helpful when we're doing list because we can pull this data in from our data set and it will automatically create a list for us. So if you look at this one, we were looking at the cats table and the column name was name. So if I look at this cats table, I can look at the details. There is a column called name. It's pulling in all of these names for me. And it's creating a list. So if I run this code, this line runs and it console logs out, right? Which looks really weird at first, but if you really look at this, you'll see like this right here, all this text right here, it's a bunch of strings separated by commas that are within an opening and a closing square bracket, right? This is a list. It has pulled in a list for me of all the cat names. If I open this, you'll see that it's kind of displaying it from top to bottom now. So this, is this first element. This second element is the second one I see, right? This third one, American Bobtail, that's the third one. And if you look to the left, there's these numbers that start at 0, right? So essentially, this is my first element in my list. This is my index number, and this is my value. Right, so this automatically created a list with 66 items, or 67 I should say. Index numbers are 0 through 66 for a 67 length list. So what they want you to do on this one is just kind of play around with this a little bit. So you can choose a different data set, right? But by default, it's only showing cats. So what you need to do to get more into this app is go to data, just choose a data set, right? Boston surface temperature. You can click, actually I'm going to go sports. We're going to go FIFA World Cup 2022 and I'm going to import, right? So now I have a second table and this table has, these columns. So what I could do now when I go to cats and choose, you're going to see now both of them show. So I could change this to say, hey, I want to look at the FIFA table and I want to pull in the let's see, is one of these the winner or is it just, that's fine, let's just pull in team 1. So if I reset and run this now, it's going to give me a list, right? This time it's the list from team 1, so these are the different countries. And that's what get column does. So as we move forward, when we get to lesson 3, we're going to start using get column. This just kind of introduces it. So go ahead, make sure you import a different table and then change your get column to use your new table and just choose a column. Once you're doing that, you will finish this and continue. All right, and then make sure you read through this. This is this random list access pattern. We talked about this on level 2. I think we did it again on level 3. So this is how we kind of randomly access an item in our list using, this random number. 6 is that list scrolling pattern. So how we use our index to go to the right and to the left using these two constructs, right? This idea of if index is greater than 0, go ahead and let me move left. If index is less than or equal to my list length minus 1, then go ahead and let me move to the right. So read through both of those. Make sure you continue them so they fill in, and then you'll do your check for understanding. All right, so obviously this is a lot to take in. It's really hard to explain over a video. So if you have questions, if you need help, shoot me an email or come by my room.